You are listening to your auntie's favorite DJ, DJ Tracy Tree.
What the pod? What the pod? What the pod? What the pod?
What's going on, y'all? I'm back for another podcast. Welcome back to What the Pod. My name is DJ Tracy Tree Show, auntie's favorite DJ, and now your fairy pod mother. What the Pod is a podcast that recommends new podcasts for you to listen to. So thank you so much for tapping in. Today, I've got 3 brand new podcasts that I'll be checking out today and that you should probably check out with me. Look down in the description in order to follow me on this list. I've got this long, exhaustive podcast episode playlist that I have in Spotify for all of y'all. And you can follow this all year long. Every podcast episode that I cover, I'm just going to add to this list. So at the end of the year, a bunch of good podcasts for you to listen to. But it allows me to kind of recap my life and my podcast journey as well, right? I'm all over the place with listening to different podcasts. You know, I listen to a lot of business podcasts. Create a lot of business content, but I also do a lot of like fun and interesting podcasts that are like, I'm really into audio dramas right now. That's a good one. Pop culture, of course, you know, shows like Joe Budden. Know for Sure is on here. That's one of my favorite standout ones for the year. So let's just jump right into today's episode. I'm gonna go over here to my Spotify playlist. And the first podcast that I'm pulling up is called Quitters. It's the Quitters podcast. And originally, when I read the description, it sounded like this podcast was about people who became so famous that it was time to quit their job. And, you know, like they had to quit doing all the other stuff in their life to kind of level up and supersede and move forward in this moment. Right. But then I listened to it and it was a little bit different, but I'm still so glad that I listened to it because I listened to the Quitters episode with Kalen Allen. And if you don't know, he was on the Ellen show. Ellen made him pretty famous. His rise to fame was like 30 days long. I didn't know until I started listening to the episode. And I won't spoil the whole episode for you because I really want you to go in and listen to this episode. And one of the hosts of this podcast was on Modern Family. She's the mom on Modern Family. I didn't know she was so cool. It like makes me want to follow her much more closely, to be honest. Check it out. They have some good conversations. The number one takeaway that I really felt from this podcast was that like you should be yourself. This dude, Kalen Allen, he is unapologetically himself in every kind of way because everyone in his upbringing didn't give him any option but to be himself. So when he said he wanted to be an entertainer, they were looking at him like, we expect you to be an entertainer. You've been entertaining us all this time. We knew that was your kind of thing. So they just let him be himself from a very young age. He grew up in the Midwest, which is not a really good place to be an original. Not good place, but an easy place to be an original. You know, I came from the Midwest as well. So it was just interesting to just hear his story. He's so young. I think he's going to be one of the great producer writers that are out there in the industry. So check out the Quitters podcast, Kalen Allen's episode there. Let's go back to my playlist here. Okay, now this next podcast is a Wondery podcast, and you'll hear me talk about Wondery podcasts a lot because, to be honest, they are marketed so heavily that they come up on my timeline so much. And I'm using podcast discovery apps like Podyssey and, you know, Podchaser to just find different ones that people have left reviews on and everything, but we usually get these a lot. So this one is a pretty big one. Scamfluencer is in right now. Like many of you, I am obsessed with the Anna Delveys of the world, the fire festivals of the world, because I find it so just fascinating that I'm sitting here doing everything the right way. Okay, not the right way, but the legal way. Okay, I'm not out here trying to rob nobody, trying to scam nobody, and it seems like you be trying to just go up the mountain so slowly. To be honest, you're slowly climbing up the mountain for keeping it real, keeping it honest, you know, doing the right thing. And I'm not going to change sides, of course, but I do think it's pretty fascinating that these people just do anything, say anything, let you believe anything, and they are getting $1 million deals. They're creating some of the largest things in culture. Like, it just lets you it just goes to show you that people are okay being misled. They actually want to be misled in a kind of way. It's weird. But this Scamfluencer episode, this old podcast is about that kind of stuff, like people who are scamming but are influencers kind of thing. This specific episode is about a Brazilian, it says beloved gospel singer and Congresswoman Florida dos Santos de Souza was revered in Brazil as the mother of the nation for adopting 55 children. Oh my God. How do you pay for that? But when her husband is killed during an armed robbery, everybody in the family becomes a potential suspect. The investigation unravels a deception so twisted it shocks the nation. Is Flores a superstar or a super criminal? Flor de Lis? I got to get her name right. But yeah, I have to listen to this because, you adopted 55 children and then all of this is sounding like a little bit of, what's that? The lady from Cocaine Cowboys, Griselda Blanco. I'm not saying this lady is into drugs, but her husband came up dead. So check out this episode, Brazil's Super Mom, Mommy Dearest, episode 1 and 2. There's 2 there, and they constantly do like series where there'll be a couple. So check that out. That's a podcast from Wondery. And last but certainly not least, I am checking in on episode 8. It looks like episode 9 just got posted today. So I'm 1 episode behind on the Know For Sure podcast. This, again, I can't stop talking about this podcast or stop listening to this podcast because it's a good podcast. I mean, they programmed it well. B. Simone, in my opinion, is about to move up in culture. I didn't know anything about her best friend Megan, but I love her too. She seems like a lot of people that I actually know. Like, she seems like that homegirl that you actually have and ain't really looking to be famous or none of this, or she's just really a part of the conversation and really rooted. So I love it. So check out the Know For Sure podcast, episode 8, 9 star from 1. Hell, they had Brittany Renner on there for one of the episodes. So that's episode 4 and episode 5. So it's a reason to just check it out. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to What the Pod. Again, What the Pod is a podcast that recommends new shows for you to listen to. So always check in, tap in with me. I'm just your neighborhood podcast industry producer. I guess I'm not a neighborhood. I'm pretty big in the industry. But anyway, check out the podcast for new podcasts that I'm listening to. Just staying on the beat, keeping a fresh perspective on podcasts. I know you listening to them same ones over and over again. I'm challenging you to look outside the box and listen to different ones. I'll see you back here shortly. Quick announcement. So for anybody who's going to be in Atlanta this weekend, and I probably should have put this in a podcast episode earlier, I'm actually speaking at Black Pod Festival on Saturday about monetizing your podcast. So shameless pitch. I'm going to do it every other episode that I publish until it happens. And then you will see some content from me. So follow me on TikTok at DJ Treacey Treece and on Instagram at DJ Treacey Treece. That's DJTRICEYTRICE on both platforms. And I'm going to give you some content from there. I'm going to show you all the people I meet. I'm going to try to get some footage of me speaking. And I'm going to be dropping some gems, some free gems, of course, because that's everything I'm about. You follow my page, you want to know about podcasts, and I'm going to show you some good ones to listen to. But I'm also going to empower you to start your own and sell your own independent media. That's just who I am, how I am, and what my content is about. So I thank y'all so much again for checking in, and I'll be right back with you shortly. Again, my name is DJ Treacey Treece, and you have been listening to What the Pod. I'll tap back in with y'all. Have a good day.